NATO to the east and bringing this infrastructure to our borders. And all of this before
was
saying
June
that
14,
we're the ones who have been
2021
acting
interview.
aggressively. Why? On what basis? Did Russia, after the USSR collapsed, present any threat to the United States or
He's talking
European
about,
countries?
is he
We
going to
voluntarily
attack
withdrew our troops
in
from
advance
Eastern Europe, leaving them
in
just on
Ukraine?
empty land. Our people there, military personnel, lived there for decades in what was not normal conditions, including their children. We went to tremendous expenses. And what did we get in response? We got in response infrastructure next to our borders. And now you're saying that we're threatening to somebody. We're conducting war games on a regular basis, including sometimes
He's lying, calling
surprise
it all military
Why
exercises,
should worry the
which is
NATO
what he
partners?
told them when
I
they went
just
into
don't
Ukraine.
understand this.
It's not true.
Will you commit now not to send any further Russian troops into Ukrainian sovereign territory?
He evades the direct answer.
Look, did we say that we were planning to send our armed formations anywhere?
He's mad
We conducted war games in our territory.
about
How can this not
U.S.
be clear?
troops
I'm
near
saying
his
it again
border
because I
in
want
Alaska.
your audience to hear it. I want your listeners to hear it, both on the screens of their television sets and on the internet. We conducted military exercises in our territory. Imagine if we sent our troops into direct proximity to your borders. What would have been your response? We didn't do that. We did it in our territory. You conducted war games in Alaska. God bless you. But you had crossed an ocean, brought thousands of personnel and thousands of units of military equipment close to our borders, and yet you believe that we're acting aggressively, and somehow you're not. Just look at that. Pot calling the kettle black.
Moving on. Okay,
Biden
here's my
administration
problem.
has
First of
said
all,
that
this
the-
guy, he talks about, and I'm going to go in reverse it, but basically he talks about when they took those factions over in Ukraine, the Donbass battle, and he's a narcissist in the idea that he considered those two lands, those groups that rebelled against Ukrainian and identified as Russians, they literally stole two big chunks of Ukrainian land and said, well, we're going to become a new government. Can you imagine if in America some people just went down to, say, Texas and just took over that land and said, well, we don't like the government anymore. We're going to become our own government. We're going to take this chunk of land right here, and this is our new government and our new land. Can you imagine if that happened? They would be arrested. They would be taken out. Okay? Could you imagine doing that in China? Could you imagine some group in Russia saying, well, we don't like your government anymore, so we're going to take this little chunk of Russia and we're going to become a new government? There's no freaking way this man would tolerate that. But it's okay if a group of people do that in Ukraine. So he invaded and took over a chunk of Ukraine. And anybody gets mad that they defended themselves and fought that little rebel groups, that's just ridiculous. But he's mad because of them bringing troops from across the sea, like he said, on the border, his borders in Alaska. He called them military exercises. He says, okay, you can technically do that. You can have military drills and exercises in Alaska because it's your land. You can do that. But you're lining up your troops on the border of my land in your state. So I will show you. So that's the lie he started using, was when he sent in troops into Ukraine, he used the lie, we're doing military exercises. We're doing military exercises. And when they went over there, they thought originally that that's what they were doing. And you'll see videos where Russians were captured and they're saying, well, we thought it was just drills, exercises. And they said it's okay. And the parents were like, my son's been captured. And we were told it was just military, drills when my son deployed. So this is the tactic that he uses. He is basically saying, I'll show them military drills. And he is spitefully, he's really, really, really mad about the troops being close to his border in Alaska. He's really mad about it.
That we're acting aggressively, and somehow you're not. Just look at that.
He's such a
Pot
narcissist,
calling
though.
the
It's so
kettle
sad.
black.
Moving on.